We have a little bit of an issue with the bus not wanting to run anymore. So we'll get it apart and see what we can see. Well, hello folks, and welcome back to the channel. Dr. Ross here. Kind of a big day for Spud the bus. You know, I really was wanting to avoid pulling the gas tank until I could work all the other kinks out, get it out on the road, make sure everything's working. And that was probably a mistake in hindsight, because I've just really been fighting with that sludge that's in the tank. Well, I wanted to get it out to where it could drive. We got all the electrical working, the interior cleaned out. We've gotten some of the parts that were missing replaced and got the thing dry inside now. It's not leaking anymore. But every time I try to take it out and drive it, it's getting this sludge is clogging up the carburetor and everything. In fact, there's a whole video that I haven't even got to post yet where I took the carb apart again and rebuilt it, took the fuel pump out, completely rebuilt it, cleaned all the lines, flushed the tank several times, put Berrymans in there trying to loosen up that sludge, and yet it just continues. This is just something I've been putting off for too long. I've been through no less than 10 fuel filters, and now that the stuff is getting thinner with the Berrymans in there, it is going through the filter, getting into the fuel pump and the carburetor, and overnight it'll harden up. We're just going to go ahead and drop the motor out, get that tank out here, and see if we can get it cleaned out. I'm glad, I guess, that I got all the other things done so that we knew that the bus runs and drives before I did this. But now I'm going to drop the motor and hopefully don't run into a whole bunch more problems and issues as I go. We'll be able to look at the clutch. We'll find out what kind of rust there is in the frame that's holding the motor up. We'll pull the tank out and see if it's salvageable. Pulling the motor was something I was avoiding, but really it's not that big a deal. My record, I believe, is 2 hours to pull one of these. Same motor that I had out before and put in, so I knew every bolt and wire. This is going to be some discovery. In spite of the threat of rain this weekend, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started on it, down and out. And I'd like you to come along with me. So hang in there. Let's get started. Alright, well, I didn't get far. The bumper bracket bolts go up into the frame, and the bolt is just spinning up in there because apparently the nut that's welded inside the frame broke and no way to get any blaster in there. So we're gonna go ahead and cut the bumper off now, and we'll be able to fix that later. If I'm going to be cutting, I get out my fireproof mat that I got at Harbor Freight. You know, like most stuff there, it's like $9 or something. Go get one. On these buses, there's an extra rear engine mount right here. It's called the mustache bar, and it goes to some brackets that are on the frame for the rear mount. A couple of bolts go in right there through the rubber mounts, and then there's 4 bolts on the back. I'll get this aftermarket oil filter that's been added. I've got to remove that bracket so that I can get to that back bolt that's down in the back there. And the other last 2 bolts are on the bottom, and then we'll have it free. I was really starting to get a resentment on the guy that put that oil filter on, but it didn't do me any good. I think the main thing is to keep from getting frustrated. Now that I got that loose, I can get in behind, hopefully, and get to that last motor mount. Well, the motor's about ready to come out. In fact, it would be on the ground, but I have to drain the fuel from the fuel tank, and I've got a lot of fuel in there, so we're going to spend some time here screening this fuel and getting it out of the tank, and then we'll drop the motor on out. So far, we've got 3 hours into it, so that's not too bad, considering I had to cut bolts off the bumper and all kinds of other jazz, but we're getting there. Back here is where the tank is. Take off this cover panel, and behind there we will find the fuel tank, and then we will pull the fuel tank out. We've got all the fuel, the bad fuel out, and we are just dripping sludge. What's still coming into the pan there. All right, kids, it's sitting there on the ground. I'm putting the official time at 5 hours. Just running out of daylight here, but it's perfect. Never did rain on me. 5 hours including cutting the bumper off and a bunch of rusty bolts, draining all the gas out of the gas tank and screening it into my cans. So I've got to dispose of that stuff. Anyway, she's out, and we're going to get that tank out and look inside. So that's going to be it for tonight. I hope you come back for the next one, where we're going to get into cleaning this up. Thanks for watching. Please hit that like button for me, and come on back.